Hello friends, in today's video we will see many more classes regarding to file input output Java IO package. We will start with the random access file that we left in the previous session. Okay, random access file encapsulates a random access file. It is not derived from input stream or output stream. And it implements two interfaces, data input, data output, as we have seen, which define the basic input output methods and also implements the closable interface. So it implements the three interfaces: data input, data output, and closable. It is special because it supports positioning request. That is, you can position the file pointer within the file. It has two constructors: random access file object, string access, throws file not found exception. That is the first case. And second case, random access file, string file name, string access, throws file not found exception. In the first form, file object specifies the name of the file, and second form, name of the file to open as a file object, and second directly pass as a file name. Both cases, access determines what type of file access is permitted. Okay, access is read write, and then change. Okay, so it is first is read, then the file can be read but not written. Second is read write, then the file is open in read write mode. If it is RWS, the file is open for read write, and every change to the file's data or metadata will be immediately returned to the physical device. Okay, so these are three modes. You can write them down, or you can take a screenshot. If it is read write D, then the file is open for the read write operation, and every change to the file's data will be immediately returned to the physical device. The method seek shown here is used to set the current position of the file pointer. Okay, so seek will give you the position. Okay, so the position will be at the in the long format, and it throws the input output exception. New position specifies the new position in the long format in bytes of the file pointer from the beginning of the file. Okay, after a call to seek the next read or write operation from that particular position. A random access file implements the standard input output we can use to read and write random access files. So what is the special case in random access? You can position the file pointer at any place you need. Okay. Some additional methods are there. One is set length. Set length, long length, throws input output exception. What this set length method do? This sets the length of the invoking file to that specified by length. Okay, so you will determine the length of the file by using the set length method. This method can be used to lengthen or shorten a file. If the file is lengthened, the additional portion is undefined. Okay, if you are shortening, then the extra things will be truncated, and if it is you are lengthening, then added portion is undefined. Okay, so that file will indicate you the undefined portion. Next thing is character streams. While the byte stream classes provide sufficient functionality to handle any type of input output operation, they cannot work directly with Unicode character. Okay, so byte stream is sufficient for any type of input output, but Unicode characters like we have seen for worldwide uses, we will require the Unicode format. Okay, so they cannot use them directly, since one of the main purpose of Java is write once, run anywhere or worldwide. This is philosophy. It was necessary to include direct input output support for characters. Okay, so every language in worldwide usage, it can have any number of character sets. So depending upon that set, your input output should support directly to it. Okay, direct character support. Several of the character input output classes we will see in this video. At the top of the character stream hierarchy are the reader, writer, abstract classes. We will begin with them. Okay. So, as discussed in chapter 13, the character input output classes were added by 1.1 release of Java. Okay, so character input output for worldwide uses was released introduced after release 1.1. Because of this, you may still find legacy code that uses byte streams where character streams would be more appropriate. When working on such code, it is a good idea to update it. Okay, so you will find much code that is written before Java 1.1, that is legacy code written in your using byte streams. So what is recommended? You should update them to use the character string so that your application or your project will be worldwide used. Okay. Then next is reader. Reader is an abstract class that defines Java's model of streaming character input. It implements the closable readable interfaces. All of the methods except for mark supported, which will throw IO exception in an error condition. Okay. So reader is the what is define Java's model for streaming character input, reading character input. The upcoming table will provide synopsis for the methods of reader class. Next is writer class. Writer is an abstract class that defines streaming character output, or you are giving a stream object in that you will write to a particular file, particular device. Okay, it implements closable, flushable, and appendable interfaces. Okay, all will throw IO exception in case of errors, and you will see table for these also. Okay, so reader methods are abstract void closes the input source. Further read attempts will generate input output exception. Void mark integer number of characters places a mark at the current point in the input stream that will remain valid until number of characters are read. Character numbers are read. So you will place a mark at that particular position. Okay, and that mark at the current, or sorry, you will mark at the current position where you are reading in the input stream that will remain until the number of characters specified in the bracket are read completely. Then Boolean mark supported returns true if mark reset are supported on the stream. Integer read returns an integer representation of the next available character from the invoking input stream. -1 is written when the end of file is encountered. Okay, it will return an integer representation of the next available character. Okay, so character will be converted to int and it will be displayed. Integer read character buffer array attempts to read up to the buffer dot length characters into buffer array and returns the actual number of characters that were successfully read. -1 if the file is end of file is encountered. Abstract integer read character buffer integer offset integer number of characters. Attempts to read up to number of characters into buffer starting at buffer offset. Okay, so it will read number of characters into buffer array starting at buffer offset, returning the number of characters successfully read. -1 if the end of file is encountered. Boolean ready returns true if the next input request will not wait. Otherwise, it will return false. Void reset returns the input pointer to the previously set mark. Void skip long number of characters skips over number of characters of input, returning the number of characters actually skipped. Okay. The methods defined by writer. Writer append character ch, appends ch to the end of the invoking output stream, returns a reference to the invoking stream. Okay. So we are seeing now the writer methods. Append ch to the end of the invoking output stream, returns a reference to the invoking stream. Writer append character sequence characters, appends characters to the end of the invoking output stream, returns a reference to the invoking stream. Okay, then writer append character sequence characters, integer begin, integer end. Append the subrange of characters specified by begin and end -1 to the end of the invoking output stream. So it will append, it will not overwrite. It returns a reference to the invoking stream. Then abstract void closes the output stream. Further write attempts will generate input output exception. After closing, if you are going to write, it will generate input output exception. Abstract void flush finalizes the output state so that any buffers are cleared, that is flushes the output buffers. Void write integer character writes a single character to the invoking output stream. Invoking means any stream object dot write character So that character, particular single character will be written at that particular place. Note that the parameter is an integer which allows you to call write with expressions without having to cast them back to characters. Okay. So character is specified as int, which allows you to call write with expression, okay, without having to cast them to character. Void write character buffer array writes a complete array of characters to the invoking output stream. Abstract void write character buffer integer offset integer number of characters. Write the subrange of characters number of characters from the array buffer beginning at buffer offset to the invoking output stream. So what it will do? It will write a subrange of number of characters from the array buffer. Okay, beginning at buffer offset. If suppose you are giving offset as 2, so in that buffer array, starting with index 2 and up to number of characters, suppose 3. So 2, 3 and 4 will be written, okay, to the invoking output stream. Then void write string to the invoking output stream. Void write string integer offset integer number of characters. Writes a subrange of number of characters from the string beginning at a specified offset. Okay. Next is file reader. File reader create a reader that you can use to read the contents of the particular file. So most commonly used constructors are file reader, string file path, file reader, file object. So either can throw file not found exception. Okay. File path is the full path name of the file and file object is the file object that describes the particular file. Now we will see how to read lines from a file and print this to the standard output stream, that is console. It reads its own source file which must be in the current directory. You should give that particular source file that to be read from which you have to read the lines from to the, it should be residing in the current working directory. Now we will see that example. File reader object is created, file reader demo.java. Then buffer reader br is equal to new buffer reader, file reader object is passed over here. By string is s is equal to buffer.readline is not equal to null. It will print on system.out.println, that is console. Okay, and then file reader dot close. Okay, so it will, whatever you will be having, file reader demo.java, it will read complete file and display in the console and then close the file object. File writer creates a writer that you can use to write to a particular file. So most commonly constructors are file writer string file path, file writer string file path boolean append, file writer file object, file writer file object boolean append. They can throw input output exceptions. File path is a full path name of a file, and file object is a file object that describes the file. If append is true, then output is appended to the end of the file. Creation of file writer is not dependent on the file already existing. Okay, file writer will create the file before opening it for output when you create the object. In the case where you attempt to open a read-only file, an IO exception will be thrown. The following example: file writer, if the file is not existing, file writer will create it, okay, to write it. And if you want to open the read-only file, then it will give you IO exception. Okay, if there is not file existing, it will create it. Now we will see a character stream version of the previous output stream example. This version creates a sample buffer of characters by first making a string and then using the get characters method to extract the character array equivalent. It then creates 3 files. First is file1.txt, will contain every other character as we have seen previously. Second will contain entire set of characters. Third will be having only last quarter. Okay, so source is created. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country and pay their due taxes. New characters source.length, then source.get character 0, source.length buffer 0. So particular characters array will be get, and then file writer object is created. First file is file1.txt. Every other character is skipped, and from the buffer.length, this is the array which is having the source.length equivalent, and you are getting the characters, and this particular buffer will be written to a file0.write buffer of I, and then file0.close. Then f1.write buffer, complete buffer will be written to a particular file2.text, and in the third one, quarter, that is divided by 4, 1/4 part will be written to particular file, that is last quarter. Buffer length minus divided by 4. Okay, and then close the file object. It will have the same output that we have seen in the previous example. Then next is character array reader. Character array reader is the implementation of input stream that uses a character array as the source. Okay, so in bracket we will have character array over here. This class has two constructors, each of which requires a character array to provide the data source. Okay, character array reader, character array reader, character array start and number of characters. Here array is the input source. Second constructor creates reader from a subset of your character array that begins with the character at index specified by start and number of characters long. Okay, so it is the start index, and from this particular start, number of characters long subset character array will be created. Now we will see the example of this. A to Z, then length is equal to this string dot length, and array will be created of this particular length, that is 26 characters long. Okay, temp dot get 0, length C0, this much characters are get. Input 1, and here 0 to 5, that means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. It will take from 0 index, that is A, B, C, D, and E. And first we will get the complete set of character array. Input 1 is, take the input 1 dot read minus 1. It will read and display to the character, and input 2 is read and display. Input 1 is constructed using entire lowercase, and input 2 contains only first 5 letters. Okay. First output is ABCD up to Z, and second is ABCD. As simple as that. Okay. Then character array writer is an implementation of output stream that uses array as the destination. So whatever that you will write, you will write that particular to that particular array. Character array writer has two constructors: character array writer with no parameter, default constructor; buffer with default size is created, and character array writer with number of characters. Buffer is created with the size equal to that specified by number of characters. Buffer held in the buffer field of the character array writer. Okay, buffer size will be increased automatically if needed. Number of characters held by buffer is contained in the count field of the number of array writer. Okay, so it will be had in the buffer automatically. Both buffer and count are protected fields. Okay. So this is done automatically in the background. You no need to worry about it. Number of characters by buffer are contained in the count field. Okay, and buffer size will be automatically increased when and as and when required, and buffer and count both things are protected in the case of character array writer. Now we will see the character array writer example. Okay, by reworking the sample program of byte array output stream. New character array writer object is created. This should end up in the array. Buffer is equal to new character s dot length, s dot get character 0 s dot length, buffer 0 f dot write buffer. Okay, buffer as a string, f dot to string into array. Okay, so f dot to character array we will get first into the character array, and from 0 to length it will display the output of C or I. Okay, so new character array writer will create first the buffer character array of this particular length. Then it will take the string from the character from the string. This should end up in the array. Then buffer as a string. Then it will convert this f dot write buffer. Okay, so what is f? Character array writer. It will write to the particular buffer array, and then what is written to the buffer array, we will convert it into string. Then one by one, we will take its length character and then print the output as C of I. Okay. To a file writer, new file writer test.txt f.write to f2. So whatever is there in f, this will end up in array, will be written to test.txt and then close the file handle. And then doing a reset from 0 to 3, we are writing over here x. So first 3 characters will be written as x and display x.toString. Okay. It will have the same output as the previous one. Next is buffer reader. Improve the performance by buffering the input. First is buffer reader input stream, and second is buffer reader input stream integer buffer size. And first form creates a buffer character stream using the default buffer size as usual. And the second one, size of the buffer is passed in buffer size. As is the case with the byte-oriented stream, buffering and input character stream also provides foundation required to support moving backward in the stream within the available buffer. Okay. So when it is the case of byte-oriented stream, buffering and input character stream also provide foundation required to support moving backward in the stream. Okay. So not only moving forward is provided, also moving backward is also provided. Buffer reader implements the mark and reset methods in this case, and the buffer reader mark supported returns true always. Okay. The means what? If you want to again try read from the 0th index, it will move backward using mark and reset methods as we have explained. Now we will see the buffer input stream example, so that it uses buffer reader character stream rather than buffer reader byte stream. Mark and reset methods to parse the stream for the HTML entity reference for the copyright symbol begins with ampersand, ends with semicolon without white space. The sample input has 2 ampersands to show the case where reset happens and where it does not. Okay, this example we have seen already. This is the end copy copyright symbol. This is end copy not, because there is no semicolon over here. Then new character array buffer is created of this string particular length. Okay. Then characters will be get. Then character array reader object is created using this buffer. Then buffer reader object is created. While c is equal to f dot read is not equal to -1, that is not end of the string is encountered, switch c. So each and every character will be checked. If it is ampersand, if not marked, f dot mark 32 and mark is equal to 2. Otherwise mark is equal to false. Break case semicolon. If mark is equal to false, then print c or copyright, and then system.out.println print each and every character will be casted to character in the else case. Case space, if it is mark will be false, and again reset and print and then again if it is not the case, if not marked, then it will print the character. Default is not marked and print the character and then break. Okay, it will have the same output as previous one. Next is buffer writer. Is a writer that buffers output. Using a buffer writer can increase performance by reducing number of times data is actually physically written to the output stream, because you are writing to a buffer. Okay, that buffers the output. Two constructors, writer output stream and writer output stream integer buffer size. The first form creates a buffer stream using a buffer with a default size. The second is size of the buffer is passed in the buffer size. Then next is pushback reader. This allows one or more characters to be written to the input stream. So it will help you to look ahead in the input stream. Okay. So one or more characters will be written to the input stream, and two constructors, pushback reader input stream, pushback reader input stream integer buffer size. The first form creates buffer stream that allows one character to be pushed back. In the second, size of the pushback buffer is passed in the buffer size as you will require. Pushback reader provides unread, which returns one or more characters to the invoking input stream. Three forms: unread character buffer array, integer offset integer number of characters. First form pushes back the characters passed in CH. Okay. This will be next character written by subsequent call to read. The second, whatever character that you will specify, that will be the next character written by the subsequent call to read. The second form returns the characters in buffer. Okay, returns the character, whatever characters are there in buffer provided in bracket. Third form pushes back number of characters beginning at offset from the buffer. Okay, and IO exception will thrown if the pushback buffer is full. If there is an attempt to return a character when the pushback buffer is full. The following program reworks the earlier pushback input stream by replacing pushback input stream with the pushback reader. Okay, so what we are doing over here, we are replacing just simply the byte oriented stream classes with the character oriented one, so that your program or your project will be easy to internationalize. Okay, nothing else. Same example, only the class names are different. It shows how to programming a language parser can use pushback stream to deal with the difference between is equal to and is equal to. Okay, string s, if a is equal to 4, a is equal to 0, new character s dot length, then characters will be get new characters. This is the string, complete string is stored in the buffer array, then its characters are get, character array reader object is created. Pushback reader f is equal to new pushback reader with this character array reader input. Unless end of the string is encountered, switch c. If it is equal to, if c is equal to f dot read is equal to e is equal to, then print equal, then system dot out dot print an arrow, then f dot unread the particular character and then break. Okay, on default case print the character. Okay, next is print writer. It's essentially character oriented version of the print string. It implements appendable, closable and flushable interfaces. So character oriented version of print string is print writer. Okay, only stream is replaced with writer and string is replaced with reader. Okay, and this has several constructors. Print writer output stream object, print writer output stream, boolean flush on new line, print writer output stream, print writer output stream, boolean flush on new line. Here output stream specifies an open output stream that will receive the output. Flush on new line, if it is true, then it will automatically flush on new line every time println, printf or format is called. So this flush on line true will do this automatically. If flush on new line true, flushing automatically takes place. Flushing, otherwise flushing is not automatic. Constructors that do not specify flush on new line parameter do not automatically flush. Now next set of constructor give you an easy way to construct a print writer that writes its output to a file. Okay, print writer file output file shows file not found exception. Print writer file output file character set shows file not found exception, unsupported encoding exception. Print writer string output file name shows file not found exception. Print writer string output file name string character set shows file not found exception. Unsupported encoding exception. These allow print writer to be created from a file object or by specifying the name of the file. File is automatically created in either case. Okay, output file is automatically created. Any pre-existing file will be lost. Once created, any pre-existing file with the same name will be destroyed or lost. Once created, print writer object directs all output to the specified file. You can specify character encoding by passing its name in the character step. Which type of encoding you require. Print writer supports the print and println for all types including objects. Okay, so print and println are supported over here. If an argument is not primitive, the print writer method will call the object string method and then output the result. Okay, the primitive, if it is not primitive type, then it will be converted to string and then it will be displayed. And it also supports the printf method. It works the same way it does in print string. It allows you to specify precise format like %f, %d, %t, etc. Now we will see printf is declared in print writer. Print writer printf string format string active object var. Print writer printf local object string format string object var. The first version writes arguments to standard output in the format specified by format string using the default local. And second will, we will specify by a particular routine. Now both written the invoking print writer. Format method is also supported. It has these general forms. Print writer format string object varab. Print writer format locate string format string object varab. It works exactly like printing. Okay, so this way we have seen multiple topics or classes related to character oriented string in file in Java input output package. Okay, in the next session I will try to cover all the remaining classes in the Java IO package, and then we will move forward for the practical part so that you will understand this chapter very clearly. So till then, you can enjoy the package, you can enjoy the Java program with this Java IO package, you can enjoy the file handling, practice more, understand more, learn more, and remember more. And most of all, enjoy it more. Okay. So meet you in the next session with the new classes. Thank you so much.